Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad to have you guys here. Now, first thing I want to talk about is there's a looming government shutdown. The United States government shutdown. Did you know that the United States government is something like 30, I think it's like 36, it ranges between 36 and about 42% of the economy is government stuff. It's if the government completely shuts down and everything, we're going to have a major impact to the economy with a complete government shutdown. Plus, not to say all the inconvenience for people if they want to get something done that they need government papers or something. It's not a good scene, and it's coming in. It says the U.S. government shutdown looks more likely now. What's the impacts? Time is running out for U.S. lawmakers to pass legislation that would avoid a government shutdown at the end of the month. An event that could have broad implications for federal workers and for the North American economy. Congress has until midnight Sunday to reach a deal on funding the government. But far-right Republicans and the House of Representatives have dug their heels in enacting steep spending cuts. Well, this is something here. I want to say. They act like somehow we're going to balance the budget. So we got to cut spending. We got to cut back on everything because you're not going to balance this budget. We're well into the way over $30 trillion in debt. It can't be paid. Keep the good times coming. Don't shut everything down. That's the worst thing that they could do. But, just like I said about the Fed tightening, worst thing that they could do, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to make every single person in North America homeless? Is that the goal? Because we're credit-based, once you embark on something, you go at it wholeheartedly. You don't have anything in reserve. And what they've embarked on is a credit-based system. A credit-based Ponzi scheme. You can't taper that. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to quit because it kills the patient. You got to keep it going. So for these ones out there, we're going to balance the budget. We need to have restraint, show fiscal restraint. That's austerity. That doesn't work in a credit-based system. It just doesn't work. I'm sorry. It doesn't work. But they're doing it anyway right now. It's leading to a crisis, and the crisis is coming very soon. North Korea has deported that U.S. soldier who defected and went into North Korea. North Korea has sent him home. They've deported the American soldier. He's very, very fortunate to come out of North Korea and come back into I know we have our faults over here. One of the things is corruption within our governments and stuff. But we still have more freedom than most people do on earth over in these countries over here. And this is because the people still believe in freedom. Even though our governments, they're slowly moving off in a direction where we don't want to see them go, but still the people have that core fundamental belief in the freedoms that we've had. And so this is going to make special issues as well. Because of these core beliefs, going to make special issues as well when it comes to things like down the road when things get really bad. People that live in these countries like North Korea, I'm going to use that as an example. But there's other countries that don't have democracy. I mean, they will force you to listen to the dictator all day on the radio. And if you turn the radio off, they know it, and they'll come storming into your house and drag you out into the street in some countries. That's the kind of unfreedom that we appreciate here that they don't have. Okay, let's take a look at this right here. All hell is broken out in Philadelphia. Teen looters are targeting the retail stores. And we got all kinds of pictures of them going in here. I'm not going to hit play because it might be copyright restrictions on them. But I got all kinds of pictures here of the teenagers. You basically know what they do. There's all kinds of pictures of them in here in action. Film footage of them in action. You know what they do. They go inside the store in a large group of them. And they're fast. Oh man, are they ever fast. They sprint through. And they grab armloads of stuff. And then they make it for the door. As fast as they can. And then they're in and out. And they'll smash their way to get out. And it's basically looting on a whole scale. It's just all out. Full bore looting. What's going to happen is retail shops and stuff, they're just going to close doors in the end because they can't take this. You just if you put $100,000 worth of merchandise out there and they just come in and they grab it all and go out the door with it, what are you doing? You're just feeding them to do more. Ukraine attacks on Russian Black Sea fleet have been causing more damage than ever, and Moscow's fleet is likely losing its ability to defend itself. If you guys been living in a hole in a cave, you don't know about the war in Ukraine, but there's an absolute bad war going on in Ukraine. Let's not forget Russia started it. They invaded Ukraine. I'm bringing you guys up to date if you don't know. I mean, somebody might be tuning into my show, don't even know there's a war going on in Ukraine. And I can't believe how many people out there in the West are like on Russia's side in all this. They're siding with Russia. Some of them don't come out and say it, but they're like rooting for Russia. Well, Russia and China are in it together. And I'm going to tell you what. This is actually war. Russia, China, all the BRICS are all in it together. They're on that side over there. And the West, they're all in it together over here on this side. This is a war, and wars have outcomes in the end. Now, what if the outcome is Russia wins and China wins the war and they come in and invade? Have you ever thought that through? The people that are living over here that are on the side of Russia, you ever thought that through? Now, what do you think? How kind do you think the Russians and Chinese will be to you personally if they're able to win? Do you think they're going to give you a steak dinner and give you a pat on the back? This is war, for real. This isn't a joke. And the thing is this war, we're fairly safe with this war. If they're in Ukraine, both sides, Russia and Ukraine, and they're fighting away, bing bang, first one side takes one field, and then the other side takes the field back, and then they take the field back again, and the field's got so many bodies on it in the end that it bodies 4 feet deep. But that's not safe there, but it's safe in other countries, like in the West, and other countries are fairly safe because this is already a nuclear war. Because standing behind this war is piles of nuclear weapons, all sitting there at the ready. And so As long as they're fighting over one little field or one little town over there in Ukraine, everything continues on in the world the way it is. But when one side starts to win, I don't know, could be Ukraine, could be Russia. So if Ukraine starts to win, do you think they're going to stop at the Russian border and say, "Oh, it's all square now. Let's shake hands and if Russia wins, you think they're going to stop at the Ukrainian border and they're just going to say blah blah blah?" No, the only real safe way to end this war would be through diplomacy and have some sort of but that ain't happening. It ain't looking good. Neither side wants diplomacy and just the whole thing is just it's a shit show. Boy, we don't need, you know how much I hate war, but I gotta tell you, on the other side of that, if somebody breaks into my house, you have a right to defend yourself if they kick your door in and they're coming in. And this is basically the same damn thing. The Russians are kicking in the door over there. Never forget, they were the ones who started it and started kicking in the door. They're smashing at our door, wanting to move westward. Now, I mean, it might sound like I'm a bit of a warmonger, but absolutely I'm not. But I do realize the potential danger when you got China and Russia wanting to push west. They have in their eyes right now, and this is why they started this whole war. They don't want they want to take territory. Why do you think they're advancing? Of course, they're being halted by the Ukrainians tremendously in their advance. But still, why do you think they're advancing? Anyway, I don't know how I got bogged down in that, but it's the same thing on a small scale as if somebody were to try breaking into your house. The West had their borders, and the border that was closest to Russia was the Ukraine border, and that was a border of the Western countries. So, I mean, Ukraine, just because they weren't a member of NATO, doesn't mean they weren't part of the West. I mean, you could go visit Kiev and stuff and have a holiday there before the war started, I mean, and you would think you're in the West. But can't visit there anymore unless you want bombs flying over your head. We didn't need any of this. We really didn't. And there was a time for diplomacy before the war started. Would it have worked? Who knows? But Russia said they wanted security guarantees before the war started. And maybe it would have worked, maybe it wouldn't have. But that never happened. And now we're embroiled in this thing. It's no sense crying over spilt milk at this point. It's just suffice to say that when somebody's attacking you, you need to defend yourself. And I personally do not believe that Russia had plans on just taking Ukraine. That was it. One and done. Sad to say, I really truly believe that even now that they've had such a hard time, still, once they get Ukraine under their belt, will they stop? The Russians are turning into a war machine right now. They're just like, have you ever seen a prize fighter and he's training for his next fight? Like Rocky? That's Russia right now. They're becoming a war machine. And they're increasing their ability to create machines of war. And they're putting all of their nuclear missiles on readiness. So this situation, I mean, for some people out there who think it's far away and it's not very much removed from me and it'll have no effect upon me and blah, blah, blah. They're probably living in a big city someplace. They're not paying any attention to the war. But what they don't realize is they probably have about 12 thermonuclear warheads aimed right at their head that could be there in 30 minutes. So I'm just getting serious with you guys. You think you're detached from the war, think it has no effect upon you, and it never will? You better think again. Somehow, it would be a wonderful day if somehow that this war would just end and go away, and we get back to having good relationships with other countries in the geopolitical world, and have it so that trade would open up and the economy would pick up and everything else. But that's not the way it is right now. Could we improve and get to that point where maybe we will get back to good relations again? I don't know. But I can tell you one thing. They're setting to resolve even more, the eastern countries, to break our back. And they intend on breaking our back financially. And we're going to take a look in the financial markets very soon and see what they're doing. One of the things they're doing is very obvious when we get looking at the charts right here. Taking a look at the Dow Jones today, it's down 126 points on the day so far at 33,492. I think we might be getting on the edge of something happening here with the markets, very serious as well, you know. Taking a look at crude oil, here it is right here. It's up $3.20 today at 93.59. This is how they're hitting us. They see our inflation and they want to make it bigger because they know everything that we use oil for everything, and everything we sell has oil somehow or another tied to it, whether it's in the packaging made out of plastics that are produced from petroleum products, or whether it's the drivers of the trucks who have to deliver whatever it is to the store and they have to take gas or diesel fuel to get it there. Everything that you buy. And so there will be a price attached. The price of crude goes up. And so this is the best way for them to hit at us and get us so that we have to pay more for everything. In other words, inflation goes up. And this is part of how they're hitting and destroying our economy. And the Fed, on the other hand, is tightening. They're making some no new monies getting into the system. This is a mess. Bonds and rates today. We're seeing the bond yields are starting to rise again. And we're looking at a 10-year that's at 4.58. It's up 2.7 basis points, and the 30 years at 4.07, and it's up 1.1 basis point. And these yields just keep going up and up, and I mean it's already closing off. The money's just going to shut right off, and everybody out there is just going to have to fight over whatever's left. And with prices rising on everything, what does that mean? It means stagflation like we've never seen before. And you know how that hurts? So who's trying to hurt us? So you're going to root for somebody who's trying to hurt us, because that's what they're doing. We're raising the prices of oil. They're hurting each and every one of us over here. You're gonna sit there and actually root for them? Oh, go hurt us more. But I don't have a real answer for how do we get out of this situation. Should never get in this situation to begin with. But here we are. And the only way to have stopped it, to not get in this situation to begin with, would be to go back in time to when they snuck the Federal Reserve Act through Congress and stop them. So we'd have no central bank. Then we'd be a prosperous country. Now, we were warned. We were told if we allowed a central bank that we'd end up sitting on the curb with nothing to our name. You'll have nothing and be happy. Yeah, right. uh, I don't know. I don't have all the answers how we ever get out of this situation. But I can tell you one thing: we are going to get out of this situation. But I tell you how really honestly, how I think we're going to get out of this situation is an enormous crisis like you've never seen before. And that's what's going to make everything straighten back up again. After it's over, we're going to say, "Oh my gosh, how did we get it?" The survivors, I'm going to say the survivors, after this is over, are going to band together and they're going to say, "Oh, we're never again, never again." And so we'll be good for like 100 years then. Because they'll put laws and stuff in place so this whole crap mess won't happen again. They'll be very careful for a while because they don't want to see that kind of destruction ever again. It's going to be something that 500 years from now in the history books, well, probably won't be books, history books, but 500 years when they learn about the stupidity that we did to ourselves with the war and the financial system, and how probably 3/4 of the people on Earth didn't make it, they're going to say, "Oh, we don't want to go down that road again. That was stupidity on wheels." Because everybody had it good in 2020, they'll say. Everybody had it good in 2020. And then the virus came and everything started to disintegrate and the world went crazy. And then from there it just got worse and worse until finally the whole system collapsed on them. And they didn't have any support in place, no redundant systems to protect them from the system collapse. And so none of them were resourceful enough to even feed themselves. This is what they'll say, telling kids like 100 years from now. They didn't even have resourcefulness to feed themselves. And in fact, the government even has so much red tape for them to, even in food production and stuff, because they're going to tell the kids all this kind of stuff. How stupid we were. And how we lost like 3/4 of our population because people just basically ran out of food and water. And everything is shut down in order to bring them food and water. And that's what it's going to come right down to, guys. I could see a 4 to 6 month long period where you're on your own. You're just like, either you got some water over there and you got some food over there, or you don't. And if you don't, you're just going to have to sit there and let your stomach gnaw away. And that's what it's going to take. Because when that's over, the people that are made it through it, they're not going to let that happen again. They're going to be damn sure that doesn't happen again. It's just like if a guy accidentally burns his house down. Well, if he's got any common sense, whatever caused the fire, he's going to be very careful around fire from then on after that. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.